guys, it's Sarah from Just My Typewriter, and I'm back today from another adventure involving a typewriter. So a little bit of background here. My mom is a high school orchestra teacher, and every 3 years their music department gets to go on a big field trip to Disney World. I did it when I was in high school. She's done it every 3 years. Now COVID did impact that a little bit, but this last time I was actually available to go with her and act as kind of an extra head counter and somebody who just reminded her where her keys were. And while I went on this trip, I decided, wouldn't it be fun if I took along a typewriter? Because I'm just that crazy. So I decided to take a typewriter with me to Disney World. So the first step in this process was actually determining which typewriter I was going to take. Now, I've traveled with several typewriters before, all on public transportation, and I've learned a few things over the years. Mostly I've learned that the best typewriter to travel with, at least weight-wise, is an ultra-portable typewriter. I've traveled with my Olympia SM9. It was so heavy to take on and off a train, so I didn't want to travel with anything too big. I also knew that if I was taking it to Disney World and I was going to be stuck with it all day, I couldn't just leave it in the bus, I wanted to make sure that I had something I could put in my backpack to carry with me around the park all day. So I went through my ultra portables and determined which was the best ultra portable to take with me. So I have to determine which one is the best to take with me. Obviously I want to take an ultra portable, and I have three. I have a Royal Safari 2, I have a Skywriter, I have a Corsair Deluxe, I have a Wizard TrueType, and then back there I have a Tower Chieftain. So I have to determine which one is the best one to take. Welcome to the official backpack test. This one actually does fit. The Safari 2 does fit kind of nicely in my backpack. And I'm kind of leaning toward taking this one, just because it's newer to my collection. I haven't used it a ton. I'm also not super attached to it. So if something bad happens, I'm not going to feel too bad. But it is just a little bit wider. So I'm also going to try the Skywriter in my backpack. Wow, that's a lot more room. I have a lot more room to fit other things in my backpack if I take the Skywriter. And it's a little bit lighter than the Safari 2, just because it's a little bit smaller. So the Safari 2, maybe they're similar. I think I'm going to take the Skywriter. I think I'm going to go with the Skywriter on this one. It's just a little bit thinner and a little bit lighter, so I think it'd be fine for travel. I haven't named it yet either, so maybe we'll get inspired while we're in Disney World. Or while we're on a 22-hour bus ride. Who knows? Here we go. And then I got on a bus for 22 hours with 150 high school students.
Woo-hoo! Oh my god. Look at that.
So on this trip, this 22-hour bus ride, very interesting, by the way, to be around high school students again. I forget sometimes how much older I am than them. We did stop for dinner at Golden Corral, which, if you've never done with a bunch of high school students, is a very interesting experience. Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. And then at around 11 o'clock p.m., we stopped at this amazing truck stop called Kenley 95 Petrol. Petrol? Kenley 95 Petro. This place was insane. So it had a ton of antique cars inside of it, including this big truck. It was really, really cool inside. I've never been to a truck stop that had this much stuff in it. They had all kinds of things from truck parts to snacks. We took over their bathrooms for a good 45 minutes just to change into our pajamas. And then we kept on driving through the night. And we ended up in Florida the next morning, and we stopped at a Dunkin' Donuts, which I was really excited about. Actually, we stopped at a McDonald's, but I decided to go and find the Dunkin' Donuts, which was a couple blocks the other way. We ended up changing in their employee bathroom into our Disney clothes, and there's only 10 of us in the Dunkin' Donuts, so we were able to cycle through pretty quickly, and then we got back on the bus and headed to the parks. Now, our first day was a little bit longer just because we were getting in the morning around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and then we were staying in the park until the park closed. So I knew that I didn't want to take my typewriter with me the first day. I also hadn't been to Disney World in a while, and I didn't know if the security measures had changed, so I was a little bit nervous about taking my typewriter with me through the security for the first first day, I also had an extra change of clothes and some other things in my backpack on the bus, so I knew that that was not the day to take the typewriter. So we spent the first day in Hollywood Studios. So the second day was actually performance day. Now we took our band, our orchestra, our chorus, and our jazz band with us to Disney World. And every time we go, we get to spend one day performing for the people at Disney Springs. Now I got to do this when I was in high school. It was such a cool experience, but we did get to do that while we were there. So that morning we went to the Rainforest Cafe, which has a lot of animatronic animals in it and is very fun. And then the students did perform that day. I got to be a page turner. I'm very good at it now. And then the rest of that day we spent in Epcot. Now again, I did not take my typewriter with me on this day for a couple of reasons. I noticed the security at Hollywood Studios was okay. You just go through a metal detector, and if you get buzzed, you have to go through a search. But the security at Disney Springs was a lot more extreme, and it probably seemed that way because we were also taking instruments through metal detectors. Like a tuba will get flagged through a metal detector going through Disney Springs, and they had like drug dogs there. So they had to search all the instrument cases, and I figured that was not the day to bring in a fully metal typewriter. That also seems a little bit weird. So I didn't bring it on the second day either. We ended the night in Epcot, which was really fun. That's my mom and my favorite park, Epcot. We just really love going through the countries. So we did get to visit all the countries while we were in Epcot.
Oh, did you get Morocco? Oh, that's cute. Morocco with the plane flying. Is that mine? Or no?
The one with the chocolate ribbons is. I don't think I'm actually gonna make a vlog out of this anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why?
The third day was actually our longest day, so I figured that was not a good day to bring a typewriter if I had to carry it around all day. I was also getting increasingly more nervous about having the typewriter with me in a park just because the security seemed so extreme. So we did go to Magic Kingdom that third day, which if you've been to Magic Kingdom, you know involves a ferry ride across a water area, lake, pond, and then we got to explore the Magic Kingdom the rest of the day. Our marching band actually got to march down the main street of Magic Kingdom right past the castle. It's so cool to do in person. When I went, I got to carry the banner for our band because I played pit percussion because I have 0% rhythm.
That's cool.
When you're stuck on Haunted Mansion. So that was a really fun day. And then we got back to the hotel that night and I did a little bit of investigating because I was still really nervous about taking a typewriter with me into the park. Okay, so tomorrow is the last day in the parks. And I'm reading through the security measures on the Disney Park website to see if I'm allowed to bring a typewriter. It doesn't say no typewriters, but I also don't want my typewriter confiscated. And I waited till the last day because I was too nervous to try it. And I might try it tomorrow. We'll see how I feel. You didn't go to Disney World. That make you hi, that's my microphone. She's like, I didn't go to Disney World. You left me with the mechanic for a week. How dare you? I'm sorry. Yeah. So the last day of the trip, we were going to Animal Kingdom. Now, I had done a little bit of research on the security website for the parks the night before, and it seemed like the typewriter would be okay, but I was still worried about it. But Animal Kingdom was our shortest day. We were actually leaving earlier that evening, and we went a little bit later in the morning. So I worked up the confidence to take my backpack with me, and I had the Skywriter in my backpack, and I went through the metal detectors. Now, this is the part where I look a little stupid. I asked my mom to film me going through security. At the time, I just thought it would be funny to have for the vlog. I did not think about how seriously Disney takes their security, and if you're filming security, you look a little strange.
Are you recording?
I'm sorry?
Are you recording?
No.
So I went through the metal detector. I obviously got flagged. I also looked really suspicious. And my mom was filming me going through security. She got yelled at by a police officer for filming. And when I got up to the lady who was searching, I said, I know exactly what it is. I have a typewriter in my bag, and that's what set off the metal detector. And she said, can I just see it out of curiosity? She wasn't worried about what it was. She was just really interested in what I had in my bag. So I showed her my typewriter, and she said that I had made her day. So that made me pretty excited. And then I was allowed to just proceed into the park with a typewriter. Now, my mom actually was, I guess, more of a security threat filming than I was actually having a typewriter in my bag.
Are you recording?
I'm sorry?
Are you recording?
No.
I then had to carry that typewriter with me the rest of the day through Animal Kingdom.
Up a little closer to us.
Now lions need a lot of help as group canopy. Helps out smaller prey and animals. Like back to these giraffes. Shape the savannah. They knock down those trees to create paths. For those farmers and see wildebeest and eland on the right hand side again.
Now, what I didn't think about when I was doing this was that that would be an extra 9 pounds on my back all day. And we were lucky that we don't really do rides, but we do like to sit around a lot. So we would sit and eat places, and I'd be able to take out the typewriter. We got to see one of the kite shows, and I got to take out the typewriter there. So I had lots of opportunities to actually use the typewriter while I was in Animal Kingdom, but carrying it around for an extra like 12, 15 hours was a long time to have a typewriter on my back. And with a successful day in Animal Kingdom, we got back on the bus for another 22 hours. Now, this is where I need to stop and talk about a magical place called Buc-ee's. Now, I didn't buy anything in Disney World the entire time except for a few postcards to send to some of my pen pals. And I was like, oh, I just won't have anything to kind of remember this trip. That's okay, I got to take a typewriter with me, and that's why I came. We stopped at a truck stop at about 11 o'clock at night. in this magical truck stop called Buc-ee's. I have never been to a Buc-ee's before, but Buc-ee's is like the Disneyland of gas stations. It was amazing. We changed in their bathrooms and they had so many bathrooms, we went through so much quicker. They had home decor, they had snacks, they had clothing. This place was insane. And my mom got a little excited. So the souvenir I ended up getting on this trip was actually a sweater from Buc-ee's because I saw it and I loved it and I was cold on the bus, and now I have a sweater from Buc-ee's. Not Disney World, Buc-ee's. The next morning we again stopped at Golden Corral, and how could they forget us? And then we went home the rest of the way back to Pennsylvania. When we got home, there was snow. So we went from getting sunburn in Florida to a snowstorm. So that was a little bit of my adventure taking a typewriter with me to Disney World. Do I suggest this as a fun activity? It was fun to have it, and if you were going to be in Disney for a little while and you wanted a typewriter with you to maybe write pen pal letters or write while you were there in your hotel room, I think it's totally fine, and maybe you take a better typewriter with you. But to actually take a typewriter into the parks was just a little bit more nerve-wracking for me personally, just because of how intense security was, and it was a lot of extra weight to carry all day long. And if you're going to be paying for tickets to Disney World, you want to be there all day long. Now, I'm not the first person to travel with a typewriter. After I got home from having my Skywriter with me, I actually got a message from Tampa Typewriter, which is Jack, and he said that he had taken his Skywriter with him to Hollywood Studios, to the Tower of Terror, and he had some pictures, and that looked like so much fun. And I could totally see it if you were going in a themed outfit and you wanted to take your typewriter with you, or there was a special day in Hollywood Studios that was retro themed, that totally makes sense. But to just take it with you into the parks was a lot of extra hassle. It was fun for one day, but definitely not something I would probably try again unless I had an even smaller typewriter. Well, 22 hours later, I'm back in Pennsylvania and it's cold, but I did take my typewriter. So I want to remind you guys that there are other videos on this YouTube channel. I also have an Instagram at just.my.typewriter. I want to thank you so much for joining me on this journey today and remind you that you're just my typewriter.